This is a lecture from Open Tuition.
This lecture looks at Requirement 3 of the March 2020 Strategic Business Leader exam. Before starting the lecture, it's important that you download the exam, study Requirement 3 and also the other information in the case study, particularly the 6 exhibits. As you know, most of the information in these case studies are provided in the various exhibits which accompany the requirements. So Requirement 3 has 3 sections. First of all, we've got Section A, and it has to be an email, and you know, if you listen to the previous presentations here, that it's important to get that in the right format. To the CEO, on the responsibilities and activities, so we have to make sure we get both of these, involved in preparing for and implementing the transformation of TT4U effectively. And then a letter to employees about the implementation of this MIBOD approach, setting out the advantages and the main changes to company structure. And the professional skills here are communication skills in persuading employees. So it's going to be coming in particular in the letter here, in persuading the employees as to the benefits of this new approach. And then quite separately, briefing notes, so the format briefing notes to the board, advising on 2 aspects here. The board, membership of the board, and information to be supplied to the board, and there it is commercial acumen skills. Commercial acumen, a kind of awareness of what real businesses might require. So let's think about this. When reading through the exhibits, you'll have come across this MIBOD scheme. It's a bit ridiculous, frankly. It's a made-up scheme. I haven't referred to it in any other answers, or I wouldn't refer to it in any other answers, because I don't think it's got any particular academic respectability. It seems to me entirely made up by the examiner. We have to talk about it here, but it's not something I would have brought in other places. So here we have basically, let's tie this back to things we'd have come across in the syllabus, and basically what we're dealing with here is some sort of change management, isn't it? We're bringing in this transformation. It's saying that we have to make the company, if we go through MIBOD, some of it here, mission-driven, interactive, empowering, open, boundaryless, and so on. Quite significant cultural changes. And also elsewhere in the case study, there's information about them changing the structure of the company so that we are delegating a lot of responsibility downwards, and we are thinking of going maybe for a much more matrix sort of structure. And both of those are essentially a change management project. And it is, of course, a project to be doing this. So maybe we'll get a little bit of help as well from thinking about project management, particularly when we come to think about responsibilities involved in carrying this through. And then the activities involved will be maybe a little bit more to do with change management techniques. So let's look at these requirements. We're told that essentially the CEO owns the project, is like the sponsor of the project, is a person who's really keen that the project goes through for these new structures and new techniques. But almost certainly this person, particularly in this organization, where the CEO has got particular technical responsibilities at the moment in looking after his original founder. Maybe we're okay, but I think the CEO is likely to be appointing some sort of project manager and project team to be helping with this. And you could say that the project team should involve the other main directors, one for larger businesses, smaller businesses, public sector, and so on. That would be the normal way in which you're going to deal with a major kind of transformation which is going on, and the responsibilities delegated to people. And you can't do this sort of change management really without having a team, because participation is going to be quite important. And actually the scale of the change here is too big for one person on their own to probably get right. The responsibilities are set in the team. The activities, well, we need to, as with any project, think about a time budget, a cost budget, and a scope. What exactly is going to be coming out of this? Do we have any measurable outcomes from this? What are the deliverables of this? Otherwise, this Meobed seems very kind of pie in the sky. And a lot of money, effort could be spent, and we don't get anything worthwhile out of it. Similarly, changing the structure of the company. It's going to be very disruptive, and it'd be quite nice to know if we could in some way have a kind of scope defined, ideally some benefits defined coming out of it. Normal project management. Activities. Think of change management. It sounds of this company, it hasn't changed very much in the 20 years since it's founded. People are very entrenched. People will be potentially resentful about how or why they should change their jobs. They'll be worried about changing their jobs, brought blinking into the 21st century, and so on. And again, think of a model, and Lewin's force field is a nice, simple model that can be used. First of all, we have to explain to people, we have to soften them up slightly, overcome resistance to change, rather than taking them head on. And the typical ways you overcome resistance to change is through communication, explanation, participation. Communicate why the change is necessary, explain what it's going to be, allow them to participate in suggesting changes in the change process. Both the business structure, probably going to matrix, and the culture needs to be changed. People will be nervous. We have to promise we're going to support them through this, and so on. That comes out really in 3B, I think, where we have to have this persuasive letter, which is going to be written to employees. And I think I would have said I'll start off by maybe going down some of the criticisms that our recent investigation did, our recent client survey came up with here, what people think is wrong with us. That we are complacent, slow emails, inconsistency, lots and lots of old-fashioned, reactive, not proactive, lots and lots of criticisms there. And we can say that's a summary of the criticisms. Therefore, we must change because we're getting left behind as technology moves forward. I'll then say a summary of the proposed changes and why they might address some of these criticisms. We have to change the structure because maybe we need better vertical communication. Maybe we need project teams rather than different departments kind of siloed away and the like. We have to change the culture to be much more proactive, much more helpful to clients, much more seeking new and novel solutions to clients' problems. Advantages to the company, greater profitability, expansion, and so on. But in particular, given the letter we're dealing with here, advantages to employees. that you will be given more responsibility, you'll be given more training. Because the company is more profitable, your jobs are more sustainable. That you will get good experience that if we stay the way we are, you would have missed out on. We have to give them also information, I would say here, that we're going to support them. If we can say no redundancies, then say it. If we say we're going to give you training and help and support and so on, then say that. Don't leave people worrying about their jobs and whether they're going to have jobs and whether they're going to be able to cope with those jobs. The conclusion of this is that you'll now be more highly skilled, working in a sustainable company with sustainable competitive advantage in a fast-moving industry with a much brighter future. C wants board changes. And I would say here that first of all, the board changes are needed. First of all, because the company has expanded and we have 3 board members, important board members, who still have a lot of day-to-day operational, technical responsibility. So, for example, we have the marketing director, who's also in charge of the team for larger businesses. We have the information director, who's also in charge for the public sector team. I would have thought that when the company has got big enough, these people should be able to concentrate on marketing, on IT and services, and let other people be the head of the teams for smaller businesses, larger businesses, and maybe bring on directors for these 3 main business sectors, as well as the more kind of operational areas which these existing directors also look for. We probably need an HR director. The company's got bigger. A human resources director is probably needed. The law has got more complicated in employment. It could well be that competition for good, highly skilled IT people in today's market is becoming more difficult to recruit these people, and a human resources director might be worth recruiting. And we have the chairman as non-executive director. There's one other non-executive director. If we're going to comply with the UK Corporate Governance Code, we need a balance of executive and non-executive directors. One of these non-executives is a partner in a large law firm. One is a partner in a large accountancy firm. It might be useful to get a couple of non-execs on who are more directly to do with the IT business, or who had maybe direct involvement with government business, because these people can give valuable advice and even warnings sometime that is helpful, immensely helpful to the executive directors. But first of all, a balance is needed if we're going to comply with many corporate governance codes. What information needs do we have to try and furnish with the new information flows? Well, we need to keep in close contact with our clients. This survey that has been done seems to be once in the blue moon, maybe the first one there. And we need constant reports of how our clients view us and what our reputation is. We would need to know, how many clients we've won, how many clients we've lost. Key performance indicators on that will be useful. Benchmarks are important in terms of maybe getting back to clients. So if a client comes in with a query today, we have to send them back an email at latest by noon tomorrow, is a way you can set a benchmark. We want to keep tracks, maybe information on website activity, e-marketing activity, number of unique visitors, number of pages visited. This is all giving valuable information on how our important marketing tools are being used by potential new clients and existing clients. We have to keep an eye on new technologies. Somewhere we've heard about the internet for all sorts of other areas of businesses and so on there. But where have we heard of the internet for things? Are we a bit late maybe in the day to be thinking about that? Maybe we've got behind. We need to keep well ahead of the competition, and we need to be alert for new developments. For all we know, it could be that cloud-based services in 10 years have become less popular because people have perhaps had very bad experiences through hacking or through bad communication speeds, and maybe the fashion turns to bringing data back to be held locally. But if that's happening, we need to know. And we need some sort of way of bringing to the board's attention client complaints, client requests, and indeed, of course, where a client has praised us. And we need all of this here, as well as the kind of month-to-month management accounts, variance analysis, and so on. But management accounts is scorekeeping. We could almost go on, if we wanted a model, we could almost go on the balanced scorecard. So the financial perspective is normal monthly accounts, but then we get down to a customer perspective. How do we know what our customers think about us? And then we get down to the one which is based on our kind of industry perspective. And are we doing the right things to keep our customers happy? And then maybe there's innovation and learning. Are we sending people on courses? Are we recruiting the right people to keep the kind of skills basis of the company up to date and relevant to what our clients in the future are going to need?